The Commonwealth Bank delivered a record profit above $9 billion today, but cracks are starting to appear. Impaired loans picked up in what was a soft second half performance. The Commonwealth Bank chief also defended his decision to pass on only part of the Reserve Bank's rate cut. CEO Ian Narev says he's prepared to be unpopular if that's the price of striking the right balance between shareholders and customers. Also defending his conduct was Reserve Bank Governor Glenn Stevens, who steps down next month. Here's finance correspondent Philip Lasker.
If only the CBA boss could make money without the political fallout, a frustration he disguised through the feedback from business customers.
And they are saying, why does it feel like we are still in an election campaign? And when are we going to see the signs of all the parties working together?
It didn't stop the CBA delivering a record cash profit of almost $9.5 billion, but conditions are clearly weakening. Second half cash earnings were down 3% compared with the first half. The dividend for shareholders was steady, even though home borrowers were denied the Reserve Bank's recent rate cut in full. The cash cow continues to be CBA's retail and business divisions, where profits rose, but most of it occurred in the first half.
I think they did pretty much as well as they could, but it shows that banking is getting tougher in Australia, I think.
Net interest income was up 7% in the year, but margins, the difference between what the banks pay for deposits compared to what it charges for loans, narrowed slightly. The result was further confirmation that the bank's dream run is over. Conditions are clearly weakening, revenue growth is coming off across the operations, and asset quality is getting worse. The bank's exposure to the dairy and mining sectors saw impaired loans jump 27% during the year to more than $1.2 billion.
Although they reported no overall deterioration in the home loan book, in fact, there was a deterioration in the West, particularly in WA, offset by better results in New South Wales.
The bank boss was understandably cautious about the future.
The most likely scenario over the next year is an economy that feels roughly more of the same, but depending on developments, particularly outside Australia, there is some downside risk.
Also risky, according to Ian Narev, is a banking royal commission.
It sends a message to the world that even though they think that our financial system is a source of strength and want to keep funding it, we ourselves have low confidence in policy, regulation and banks.
But those concerns didn't extend to the government's plan for annual bank executive appearances before a parliamentary committee.
As long as that is, as it seems, a well-constituted, well-briefed group with good terms of reference, we will happily go and talk at that sort of forum.
Ian Narev wasn't the only one defending his behaviour. In his final public appearance before stepping down next month, Reserve Bank Governor Glenn Stevens defended his management of interest rates. And he wasn't surprised the banks failed to pass on the full rate cut to borrowers.
We had anticipated that the structure of lending rates would not fall quite by the full 25.
But the governor also hosed down concerns about his unwavering support for inflation targets.
Some people at least think we're too committed to the target. They worry that in a period of very low inflation, we might do things with monetary policy in an effort to quickly get inflation back up that might create more problems than they solve. Well, I can assure you, and I want to be very clear, the board has been very conscious of that potential and has proceeded accordingly very carefully.
And there was growing frustration with the budget repair effort.
When specific ideas are proposed that will actually make a difference over time, very quickly the conversation turns to fairness. We all view that through our own prism. We all look to our own position. The interest groups come out, and specific proposals often run into the sand. You know, if we think that this rather otherworldly conversation we're having isn't going to need to get a whole lot more hard-nosed, we're kidding ourselves.
It was not the most optimistic speech from the governor, suggesting his successor, Philip Lowe, has been given a mighty hospital pass.